11:55. Almost midnight. Enough time for one more story. One more story before 12. Just to keep us warm.
Ah, yes. 5 minutes till midnight. What a time, don't you agree? And always there is much to be said and done. Wouldn't you agree? This is John Carpenter's The Fog. Quite an impressive film, if you ask me. It tells the story of a small town with a dark secret. It's like all towns with dark secrets. Nothing stays buried forever. One way or another, everything will come. In this case, it comes from the great sea itself. The ocean is full of mysteries, full of tantalizing mysteries, fears, dangers, allure, and of course, a desire to be on time, as well as to be somewhere else. Why can one not be? But I must admit, this film has entertained me. Even its remake, while not anywhere near the original's clear level of detail, it was still something to watch. But again, well, time is the greatest of advantages. The original has become a cult classic. What say you? Do you find it interesting? Or are you just thinking, it's just another ghost story, made by a man who made a great slasher film? You couldn't possibly understand anything or have made something that had something to it. After all, it's not like The Fog has anything in it, right? Did I reveal something? I hope not. But then again, this seems to be the film's uniqueness at play, and I assure you it is. The story is rather unique, even still by today's standards. Production value, despite the amount of money they had, is quite good. It shows John Carpenter's level of detail. And I must admit, that is something to be seen. Was it good? Terrible? Quite an impressive film, in my opinion. And I found it most endearing. Also, it has a great message. There are 6 people, many of whom may in fact be related to these people from 100 years ago. People who went too far, I might add, and decided they wanted what they could not have. And now, 100 years later, those sins, they are to be paid, but not by them, but by their blood. Your sins have returned, and they will not be pleasant. They require the blood of the 6 as well as, to be fair, what was stolen from them. The story works so well in that regard. Well, it seems weird they would come back for, let's say, a particular item. I believe I found the story unique. The way it is built up, slowly, the amazing characters. This film does it all. But there was also a lot of work that went on behind the scenes, and even, dare I say it, some reshoots. They didn't have much of a choice. But it does work. Quite well, in fact. I found myself impressed. This is a story as much of redemption as revenge, survival, and even an understanding that your decisions have consequences, whether you're alive to see them, or perhaps it's your grandchildren. And, as such, things always happen. The film does this so well, and to be fair, it was expanded upon in the original remake. I can't help but call it that, as I am hopeful that another film will be made Hopefully not by the same people, just saying. But I found the film unique. However, the original is still where the money shots are, in my opinion. The level of detail and other things. There's just some stuff I felt that the remake did not need. Less is more. This movie does so much with so less, and yet is able to create such an impressive product. Yes, it is a product of its time, there is no denying that. But that does not mean that something old is still not incredible. I will take the original Haunting movie, directed by by Robert Wise, over the remake any day. Except the new release of The Haunting of Hill House, a series originally on Netflix. Quite good. Quite good. But there has to be more, right? Can't just be a bunch of ghosts coming back. Except the town goes nuts as the first victims are ripped to sunder. Are they not? Indeed, all manner of things begin to happen. Paranormal, poltergeist. It all just keeps coming and coming. Oh, such a thrill ride. And of course, after this one night, the town's awakening, it's bicentennial. Things are not what they seem. As certain groups attempt to figure out things, others are just trying to get the yearly celebration out of the way. It's clear much has happened. And as they continue on and on and on and on, the fog begins to roll in at midnight. At night, darkness is foreboding, and yet this disaster is definitely foreboding. While there are groups trying to figure it out, there are others who learn dark secrets. And all the while, the fog begins to pick people off one at a time. Here and there, here and there, here and there, here and there, here and there. And it just keeps coming. The film builds up. There are moments of pure terror and then moments of just nothing. It is just a story being told. And then they begin again. The final confrontation in the film is enough to make you interested. There is a priest who clearly knows more, who has discovered information, and even a bit of a twist at the end about what is really going on. These are ghosts, after all. Spirits brought back from the dead 100 years later, given their chance for some remuneration, some justice, if you will, on a town that has built itself upon their backs, basically. Quite an impressive feat, if you ask me. and yet it continues to excel, become more of a problem. I must say the film does very good. And as for John Carpenter, well, he did quite good himself. He based the basic point that starts the film, the tragedy, off of a real tragedy that was done by shipwreckers. These are people who would draw ships in and murder the crew and steal all the supplies. There's been many stories of these wreckers dealing with the aftermath, how shall I say it kindly, the fury of the sea and those who have gone to meet it, many of which have been dragged down to Mr. Jones's locker. We wouldn't want that now, would we? This is what makes the film so interesting. The notion of revenge, the notion of trying to stay alive, all these things happening. What can one say other than they were interesting? I must admit the film has aged rather well, and the latest Blu-ray edition has many more features, and it's clear this was a great film to do. I will give it a 7 out of 10, mostly due to some age issues, but otherwise, I admit it's quite a good film, and I must put a must-see. It's worth it. There are some flaws, but I think they give it character. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please like and subscribe. Please let me know what you think of the movie. And of all else, we'll be seeing you again. After all, it's only a matter of time. Don't you agree? Before we will see you once more.